We'd like to find out what you, the fans, think. We go out on the streets, we call it the fan zone. This is what you had to say.
I think that the case should be heard quicker, and in that way it can resolve whether he should be playing or not.
You know, if he's been alleged to call someone whatever racially, I think that should be seen to first before he can be the captain of the team. I think it's really, you know, it's not really correct. It's not right, is it?
None of them would play with him if he was actually racist. So yeah, until he's proven guilty, he's innocent. He's not racist.
Because these things can happen anywhere in the world. So, you know, maybe a mistake or something. No, I think they can go over it and, you know, shake hands and just be friends, whatever, and, you know, carry on life.
But footballers are meant to be icon, and the people look after them as well. So if they're looking up to them and John Terry sets this example, then he shouldn't, definitely not.
Well, I think he should definitely stand down as national interest, and just, you know, if he is found innocent after the case, then obviously my apology is due from the FA. But just for all his peers as well, I think he should stand down.
OK, that's the fan zone. That's out on the streets. That's what you fans are thinking. And remember, you can get hold of us here, Sports Tonight Live, to get up on the Skype wall, at Sports Tonight TV to get onto that tablet. Leroy will read out your messages. Hundreds of them coming each night, but keep sending them, please. We love to find out what you're thinking. Up to the Skype wall, I said Sky Sport, it's Sports Tonight Live, and we've got Richard. Richard Lewis is a football fan. He's a Skyper. He's also the architect of Sabotage Times, the blog, a widely read football blog. So, Rich, thank you for joining us tonight. Welcome to the show. Give me your take, please, on this argument, which is not going to go away.
It certainly isn't, and thanks very much for having me on. Hello to Mark and Leroy as well.
Yeah,
good to see you guys on there.
It's actually John and Leroy, but don't worry about that.
No problem.
Richard, don't worry, he calls me Delroy a lot, so don't worry about that.
I do. Yeah. Go on, mate.
But the first thing I want to do is I want to absolutely qualify, like you've said, about innocent until proven guilty. Absolutely right. I'm of the opinion that John Terry shouldn't be in the England squad going into Euro 2012. Not because I believe he's guilty, absolutely not, but for the pure reasons that it's not the guilt or the innocence that's the issue, it's the trial itself and what that does to distract the team. And the team has to be the first and foremost consideration. And now a lot of people have said, oh, it's this anti-John Terry sentiment that's coming out. And that's not the case. But ultimately, this is a serious issue. This trial has been delayed, and that is the architects of the trial not being done until July is actually Terry's legal team. This was widely reported by people who were at the court case. It was John Terry's legal team who laid out all the dates of Chelsea fixtures, of England fixtures, which suggests he might want to play a part in that as well, and said, look, these are the dates. And they chose after the Euro 2012 Championships. I think that's because he's not 100% confident going into the trial. But as I've said, it's not about that at all.
Well, sorry. Let's just qualify that. When you say not 100% confident about going to the trial, do you mean in preparing his case?
Yeah, look, I think Terry's probably got a bit of a persecution complex at the moment, perhaps rightly so. The press have never left him alone. And the secondary point I wanted to make coming into this was he'd already lost the captaincy over something so trivial it should have had no bearing whatsoever on football. The issue with Wayne Bridges' misses, right, should not be impacting on whether or not you can captain your country. Breaking the bro code should not have you stripped of an England captaincy.
Well, no, that's it did. Let me just interrupt there, please, if you don't mind, Rich, a minute. Richard has just alluded to the fact that the press are putting the pressure on John Terry. Now, John, you've got to respond to that, please.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it's not the bro code, is it? It's the dressing room code. That's the point. And I mean, we're talking. Why are you suggesting then that he shouldn't go to the Euros now? Because it's a distraction to his teammates and to the dressing room. Well, sorry, but I mean, so was Wayne Bridge. You see, really. So you're talking about a code of conduct within the dressing room, which would then be destructive to team spirit and team unity. And so it's exactly the same with the greatest of respect. And I do think that clearly this is a much more serious issue. It's reached the criminal courts now. It's an allegation of a different nature.
And have you, as a journalist, been putting the pressure on John Terry unnecessarily?
No, I I don't think so. I think it's up to John Terry to behave well. I've seen that footage, and I think that the right thing has happened. It's been now examined,
and it should be decided in a court of law.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And I think we're not persecuting John Terry.
Yeah.
I think we're reporting that fact.
Yeah.
There. And I think that's fair play.
Rich, what about the view that leadership can be illustrated in many different ways? What about John Terry saying, I am presenting a nuisance to the football world just by the fact that these charges have been levied against me? I am innocent. Nevertheless, lots of innocent people in life have crosses to bear. I'm going to step down and show leadership and allowing them to get on without me being the captain. What about taking that point of view?
Yeah, he's made that clear. He's not going to do that today in statements that have been issued.
Yep.
We've seen him say clearly he won't be resigning the captaincy. To be honest, that's a small part of the issue. I mean, ultimately what I'm talking about is his inclusion in the squad. And I just think his situation is untenable, not again because he's guilty, but because of the ongoing kind of cloud it brings with it. And if you think about a normal workplace, I mean, if me and you were to stand accused before any guilt has been assuaged one way or the other of similar charges in a regular job, we'd probably be suspended pending an investigation. Now, we can't dictate what Chelsea do. They're ostensibly a private business. But what we can talk about is our national team and who goes on to represent that and what that's about on a national scale, what kind of messages we want to send out. And what I believe is the best thing to do is to not have him in the squad until we have got an absolute definitive answer. I think the situation that a lot of people haven't mentioned is the fact that Rio Ferdinand, Anton's brother, is likely to be included in the squad. If that's not going to generate ill feeling in a dressing room, I don't know what that is. And certainly Rio has remained rarely quiet on Twitter about the subject, which probably speaks volumes in itself. I think we've got other black players in the squad that might be looking at John Terry with a different set of eyes, even though nothing has been proven one way or the other. We've seen other England squad players who have been a little bit close to racist issues. Glenn Johnson over at Liverpool's already had this. It will be deja vu for him. And I just think ultimately, England is always a ticking time bomb at the best of times. You know, we're going into a tournament without Wayne Rooney because of the suspension. Massive pressure on Capello. We've got people like Lampard and Gerrard who've had injuries, not getting regular games in the squad. There's only a few months to put that right. Do we really need any more excuses, any more pressure on the squad?
I think we'd agree there. We certainly don't. It's a question now of how we handle the problem. Rich, I want to say thank you very much indeed, mate. We've got to move on. We've got people wanting to get up on that Skype while you're on, but thank you very much indeed for being with us tonight, an invaluable contribution. Let's go to the Skype phone, please. We've got Gary Thompson there, former professional footballer himself, played for almost every team in the Midlands, I think. And Gary's with us now. Gary, good evening to you.
Good evening, how you doing?
Gary, doing very well indeed, mate. Can I just tell you, it's the Portmeister here, Mike Parry. I'm in the studio with John Cross of the Daily Mirror and Leroy Rosenior. That's the way you pronounce it, if you know how to pronounce your surnames. And Gary, first thing I've got to say to you, mate, is that what is your absolute position on John Terry remaining as captain of the England team and saying today he has no intention of standing down?
I think that, I mean, most people have got an opinion on the thing. The bottom line is, if he's the captain, he's our leader. He's the one that, when we go into the championships, he's going to be the one that we all look up to. You can't have too many problems in and around that situation. And I'm looking at it thinking, well, if he had anything about him, if he was after the leader we expect him and want him to be, he should have stepped down. He should have stepped away from it until the time's right. You're going away, and you remember that the World Cup the last time, every little situation was blowing up, every little thing is magnified. And it's going to be the same again because we want our country to do well. We expect our players to lay it on the line for us. If our leader, our captain, can't do the right thing, then where does that leave us?
Gary, I must say, you know, Portmeister got it wrong there. You played well for a lot of Midland clubs, I have to say.
I said that.
Yeah, well, he was a big beast, Gary, and he's so tough to play against. But my point, Gary, is if he's not going to make the decision. And you know, I don't think Capello's going to make the decision either. Do you think it's the FA need to step in and just do it, get it over and done with, and do it now, so we can move forward with a new captain in preparation for the championships?
I think you're spot on. At the end of the day, You can't let this thing build up and build up. As you say, Rio's probably going to be in and around the squad. There's going to be other black players in and around the squad. And everyone says innocent until proven guilty. But in other walks of life, people are suspended probably on full pay until the situation's resolved. This situation is never going to be resolved until now after the European Championships. You can't have your captain and your leader stepping in there. So sometimes a decision has to be made by the people up above. That's what they're there to do. They're our group. They're leading our group, and the manager and the captain are the leaders, the people we look up to on the pitch, as it were. And they're not showing the proper leadership. He's not doing the right thing. Any normal person would see this building up and think, well, it can only get worse. It'd be best if I took myself out the firing line a little bit and just concentrated on my football. But apparently his football hasn't suffered from what everyone is saying. But the bottom line is the leadership of England is going to suffer. When I was a kid, you had your captains, your Bobby Moores, you had your Jerry Francis, your Brian Robsons. We had people that, whatever else happened, they were proper men. Now this fella, everything he does, and but make no mistake, even after this one, there's going to be another drama with him because his life seems to go from one to the other.
Well, Gary, with the greatest respect, mate, we don't know that. All we know is at the moment he's accused of a crime, and he's got to go to court and defend it. John, you want to get in there?
Yeah, Gary, yeah. I just wanted as a former player, just take us in the dressing room if you would really. What sort of an impact do you think this would have on a dressing room? Going into the, what is the code like? What sort of impact would it have upon team spirit? Obviously, we're stressing here that he is indeed innocent until proven guilty. But with that in mind, what sort of an impact do you think it would have?
The people in that dressing room, the Chelsea dressing room, will know basically what John Terry's all about because they train with him, they spend time with him all the time, they're in the trenches with him, so they know what he's all about. When he goes away with the international group, and sometimes there's little cliques in that, you're going to have problems anyway. You're going to have little things. Things don't always run smoothly. So therefore, your captain has got to be the one to pull it all together. I think that there will be fractions even in the Chelsea dressing room now because they know exactly what he's about, whether he's innocent or what. They know the man better than any of us do. So there's always going to be little situations, little things where people look and they're not too happy with it. And I think going into the situation where you're dealing with the best 22 players picked at the time that England are sending out, there is going to be problems with it. You won't get, you never, or Leroy will tell you, you don't get a group of boys and everybody get on and everyone love each other and it's all beautiful. It never ever happens. But what you normally have is 2 or 3 very strong people in that dressing room who lead you the right way. Then people used to say things, oh, he's lost the dressing room. Yeah. When I was a kid, the dressing room was never run by the manager. It was run by senior pros, usually very, very good senior pros. Right. Weren't ever run by the manager. It was self-discipline. Now it doesn't happen like that.
Yeah. Gary, I want to thank you very much indeed, mate. Very valuable contribution to the show tonight. Hope we'll see you on Sports Night Live very soon.
No problem.